And we're live one more time on a Saturn day with Tales from the Crypt. I am your spiritual healer, teacher, shaman, seer, oracle, lightworker, starseed, earth angel, mystic, medium, psychic, witch, yogi, guru, messenger of God, child of God, the Lilith reincarnated, yours truly, the hostess with the mostest, the high priestess Phoenix. Tonight we are going to do something a little bit different. We're still on track from what I've been teaching, but typically we pull out some shadow cards and I just put all of those away. And instead we are going to be talking about, let's see, Jewish mysticism, the Kabbalah. We're gonna continue our talk about the Tree of Life. For those that were keeping up with us, you should know that that's what this diagram is right here. We're going to go deeper into an understanding of it. I have some oracle cards that told me how this worked. We're just reading more books about where the religion came from and what their basis is and understanding. I have plenty of oracle cards as the oracle. I have a lot of my information in oracles. We started this subject, Thursday night, when I was talking about Wolfman being a dark practitioner, and he was pulling off the left side of the Tree of Life, and that he knew all this. And that was also when I got that really cool, back there, that little, I don't even know what it is, blessing and prayers for my home, this Jewish blessings and prayers for my home. That was pretty cool. So yeah, I own these. I'm like one of the only people that do. And I also just recently, we had gotten this book, but we haven't, excuse me, that would be my fault. We hadn't broke into this book yet. So we're going to talk about it since we already started reading about the Tree of Life in many different ways. We've talked about the Tree of Life through my Notoria cards as well as other different places. But now we're getting into the actual religion based on it. So that's Jewish mysticism. It has an enormous intro, dude. Enormous. And I can't bypass it. But on page 17, the last paragraph of this intro, we're going to start there and work our way back. Traditionally, restrictions have been placed on the study of the Kabbalah. Some Kabbalists insist that everyone seeking entrance into the orchard must be at least 40 years old. Are you of age? Okay, stand back then. This isn't for the youngins. Alright, though Moses Cordovero stipulated 20 years. Other requirements include high moral standards, public rabbinic learning, being married, and mentally and emotionally stable. Okay, how many of us are not qualified for this position? That's what I mean. You're not allowed to be in their religion. You're not part of their boy band group because you're not married and you don't know a rabbi and you're not emotionally stable. Mystical teachings are enticing, powerful, and potentially dangerous. The spiritual seeker soon discovers that he or she is not exploring something up there, but rather the beyond that lies within. Letting go of traditional notions of God and self can be both liberating and terrifying. In other words of Isaac of Akko, A-K-K-O, strive to see supernal light, for I have brought you into the vast ocean. Be careful. Strive to see, yet escaping drowning. They warn you before you go into this that you're like, these were the requirements to even know this kind of stuff. A lot of the stuff I teach you, and that's why I'm like kind of like that, cult buster, exposer, stuff like that, is these are hidden. They're hidden. You're not supposed to know this shit. I mean, it's there to know, but you don't want to be caught, knowing this stuff and teaching this stuff. I'm just teaching you how to prepare yourself and what powers they do have and don't have and where they all come from, which is what God. Everybody prays to God in some kind of form. Alright, we're going to start in the very beginning, because who knows what about freaking Jewish mysticism, right? Well, it always starts with the freaking tree. The 10 Sephirah, and so we're going to start with the intro. It's just what you're looking at. Only with this ones, they have the Hebrew letters. So that's cool. Alright, here's the intro. The Hebrew word Kabbalah means receiving, or that which has been received. On one hand, Kabbalah refers to tradition, ancient wisdom received, and treasure from the past. On the other hand, if it is truly receptive, wisdom appears spontaneously, unprecedented, taking you by surprise. Jewish mystical traditions combine both these elements. Its vocabulary teems with the Zohar, the canonical text of the Kabbalah, calls new ancient words. Many of its formulations derive from the traditional source, the Bible, and rabbinic literature, but with a twist. For example, the word that is coming, a traditional phrase often understood for referring to far-off Messianic era, turns into the world that is constantly coming, constantly flowing, a timeless dimension of reality available here and now, if one is receptive. Let me just stop right there. What does that mean? Receptive. That means if you're open to receiving, you have to be receptive. Okay, you cannot be receptive when you're being active. You can't be in a receiving when you're in a giving or doing. You're giving it all you got in life. You're not receiving the information, or you're not receiving what life has to give to you. You're going out to get what you want out of life. That's what that means. You're not taking it in, you're pushing it out, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm gonna have to learn how to say this word. The rabbinic concept of Shekinah, divine eminence, blossoms into the female half of God, balancing the patriarchal concept that dominates the Bible and the Talmud. Oh, okay. Well, again, I am the dark goddess, but in my light form, I would be the Shekinah, or, the Kanyan, or all of these other lovely ladies. Who's that lady? But this isn't a lovely time to be that lady. You need the dark goddess. And that's what I tell you. I'm God in the female form. Alright, let's see. Kabbalah retains the traditional disciplines of the Torah. Alright, that's too many books. Somebody write this down. The Bible, the Talmud, and the Torah. This is where I get all fucked off. There's too many. I don't know what the difference is in any of these. I mean, it's just the name. Alright, the Torah and the Mitzvot, commandments. But now the Mitzvot have cosmic impact. The secrets of fulfilling the Mitzvot, I'm probably not saying that right at all. Maybe the V's not even pronounced in there. Misal, I don't know. Is the mending of all words and drawing forth the emancipation from above. According to the Kabbalah, every human action here on earth affects the divine realm, either promoting or hindering the union of Shekinah and her partner, the Holy One. Blessed be He. God is not static being, but dynamic becoming. Without human participation, God remains incomplete. I already told you that. Through us, He learns how to be a better God. God remains incomplete, unrealized. It's up to us to actualize the divine potential in the world. God needs us. I tell you that all the time, fuckers. He needs you to act for Him. He needs you to show His works here. He needs you to be Him. You are an extension of Him. It's kind of I don't know how to explain that. Kabbalah owes its success to what the fuck is this word? The piquant blend of tradition and creativity, loyalty to the past and bold innovation. The Kabbalists grew adapt to walking the tightrope between blind fundamentalists and mystical anarchy. Though a number of them lost their balance and fell into the extreme or the other. Remarkably, despite their startling ideas, sometimes shocking imaginary, and the Kabbalists aroused relatively literal opposition. Compared to some of the famous Islamic Sufis and Catholic mystics, such as Halad and Meister Eckhart, I don't know who any of these are, No doubt that was due in part to the erotesic method of transmitting Kabbalah. At first, the secret teachings were conveyed orally from master to disciple and restricted to small circles. Even when written down, the message was often cryptic, sometimes concluding, "This is sufficient for one who is enlightened, or the enlightened one will understand, or I cannot expand on this, for thus I have been commanded." For the beginning of the movement in the 12th, no, that's a weird way they spelled that, in the 13th century, the Kabbalah was promoted to renowned learned rabbis such as Rabbad of something, strongly committed to traditional observance, and the Kabbalists could not easily be attacked as radicals. But they were profoundly radical, and they touched something deep in the human soul. The Kabbalists made a fantastic claim that their mystical teachings derive from the Garden of Eden. This suggests that the Kabbalah conveys our original nature, the unbound awareness of Adam and Eve. We have lost this nature, the most ancient tradition. And before I even get started on this, bro, let me just take a breath. You can't say Adam and Eve's name around Lilith without there being a breath, a quiet space. The price of maturity and culture. I'm not going to jump to conclusions, but I was going to say, if you based a whole fucking religion on these two idiots, I'm done now. Who gave them the fucking knowledge? Who is the serpent inside the tree? That's what I mean. And what did she do? Give that power to him, and what did they do with such power? This better not be about them. It's always about them. I can't stand them. Anyways, the price of maturity and culture. The Kabbalist yearns to recover the primordial tradition, to regain cosmic consciousness. Here we go into all that talk again, cosmic consciousness, without renouncing the world. All right, visions of God. Kabbalah emerges as a distinct movement within Judaism. Okay, we got some stuff over there about Judaism we're going to learn. What do we learn about Judaism? That they don't get along, and that it represents not just a religion, but it represents the culture as well as the country of Israel. So being, Judaism is all part of all of that. Really? That's what we read. In medieval Europe, but the experience, and you're like, wow, you remembered? I know, right? Right. Kabbalah emerges as a distinctive movement within Judaism in the medieval Europe, but the experience of direct contact with the divine is already evident in the earliest Jewish book, the Bible. When Moses encounters God at the burning bush, he's overwhelmed, afraid to look at God. He hides his face. Soon God reveals the divine name, I am that I am. Imitating that what eventually becomes a mystical refrain. God cannot be deframed. Exodus 3:6-14. Later at Mount Sinai, Moses asks to see the divine presence, but God tells him, no human can see me and live. I totally, truly believe that. 100%, because when I got reloaded into the light, it was all blinding, bro. It's like you can't live, bro. The light is all blinding. I mean, now I can go back into the light, but when I got first plugged back in the light, it was all blinding, dude. I thought I was going to have an epileptic seizure. You're like, with God? No, it was just the light. How does that feel? There's not even something remotely close, but like if you live in a snow state and the ground is covered in snow and the sun is burning high, it does this mirror reflect straight into your eyes, and you can't focus your eyes. They're literally just crying. You can't get them to focus because it's blinding you as soon as you go outside. That's why a lot of people we wear sunglasses a lot because of the reflection of the sun. It's something similar to that, but it's like you can't see shit. It's just so bright. Yet the Torah concludes by saying that God knew Moses face to face. Exodus 33:20, Deuteronomy 34:10. The prophet Isaiah sees God enthroned in the temple of Jerusalem, accompanied by fiery angels who call out to one another, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is filled with his presence. Isaiah 6:3. The most graphic account of the vision of God is undoubtedly the opening chapter of the book of Ezekiel. Standing by the river in Babylon, the prophet sees a throne whirling through heaven, accompanied by 4 winged creatures, darting to and fro. On the throne is a figure with the appearance of a human being, surrounded by radiance like a rainbow. Ezekiel experienced the vision near the beginning of the 6th century BCE, even before his book was canonized as part of the Bible. His vision had become an archetype of Jewish mystical ascent. Until the emergence of the Kabbalah, Jewish mystics used Ezekiel's account as their model. Masai Merkava, the account of the chariot, as it came to be called, was expounded in some circles, imitated in others. An entire literature developed recounting the visions exploited of those who followed in Ezekiel's footsteps. Among some of those leading figures were Rabbinic Judaism. The journey was arduous and dangerous, requiring intense aesthetic preparation and precise knowledge of secret passwords in order to admit to various heavenly palaces guarded by menacing angels. The final goal was to attain a vision of the divine figure on the throne. He's not on the throne. What the fuck are you talking about? He's not even in a form. He's that blinding light. Oh, hell no. Hey guys, I know this might be hard for your fucking walnut-sized mind. Fuck, be nice. Stop projecting into the universe, okay? Stop projecting into the universe, okay? God made the entire fucking universe first. Then he made Earth of that universe, this dirt-ass, earth-ass planet. From the earth, he made 2 beings, myself, out of mud, they say, and Adam. Okay? We were created of the dirt in this form. He created all other parts of the universe in other forms. If you go to another planet, they do not look human. The human are only on the human planet. You cannot take your fucking human body to another planet because they can't do it. They, on the other hand, can come over to our fucking punk-ass planet, right? They tend to get caught and shot down by us and die in fucking facilities and shit because they just wanted to come and skyscrape. In the essence, though, when we're talking about divine, stop making them human. Why the fuck would there be a chair, a throne, a table, a cup, any of that shit? You are a soul in a human form. And when your soul leaves this form, you may take another form on another planet in another reality. You could be some kind of other form. God is not a form. The divine is not a form. This cosmic conscious is not a form. Therefore, the things of this world you cannot project in this place that you call heaven. Nobody sits because they don't have legs. Only when they appear to you do they take a form that's pleasing to your eye. Because when they sent the seraphim, you were scared. The cherubim, you were scared. All of the fallen, you're scared. So they keep making them look like you so that you can accept them. Because anything that's ever came to this planet that did not look human, you fucking destroy. That's why the shapeshifters had to take human form. They have to look like you and talk like you, to blend like you. You are not accepting to any other form but the human form. So therefore you project it. Now I'm going back to this right here, and this pisses me off. To be omitted in the various heavenly palaces guarded by menacing angels. The final goal was to attain a vision of the divine figure on the throne. Is this a fucking chair? You think God sits on a fucking chair somewhere? I can't even start with this kind of fucking behaviors. How can I make you understand when you're starting already to put him in a form? Oh God, help me. This is my hell. For giving you the knowledge and wisdom and you don't know what to do with it. You didn't mean nothing. This is what you turned it into. This is my hell. I'm like Mrs. Puff teaching fucking SpongeBob how to drive. For the rest of my fucking life. Who's God, guys? Is Jesus God? Moses is God? Allah is God? Who's God? Who the fuck is God? Oh God, help me. I'm gonna explode. It's Saturday. You're pushing my limits, God. Come on. And this is exactly why the Jewish don't get along. They cannot agree on who God is and where his power is, and if one person had it, all people have it, it's in a tree, you have to be 40 years old and married and all this shit to get it. Then they've got the Christians. You gotta be fucking, a man that's, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God, oh God. My head is exploding. Forgive me. I'm just like, I can't even speak right now. It's just so... I can't even tell you how awful it feels to even try to put this into words for your fucking small minds. You're only human on this planet, dipshits. When your dog and your bird and the trees die, they go back to the collective consciousness, which is God. They bring that conscious information, that experience, that wisdom, all of that knowing back to the source of all things, so that we have collectively, because when you come back to the oneness, it's where all the knowing comes. It's not what I've learned in all my lives. It's what all lives have accumulated to. How do I know the things that I know? How do I know Carl Jung's teachings? Because he's part of the collective conscious, the cosmic conscious, and I'm part of it too. And that's where all conscious comes from. It's a living, breathing, it's God. We are conscious, is what you use as a word, but it's just a spirit. When you get back to the spirit of, you call it a place called heaven or the garden. There's another fucked up one. The story tells you, losers. Forgive me. I'm just, damn, you're gonna make my head explode. The story tells you, he created the entire universe. Not yours, where you can only see as far as your little telescopes. He created infinite universes. And then he created Earth. And he gave you your own little planets and shit like that. Your own little atmosphere. You know what I mean? Like, clouds are only here. And that's it too. You're noticing that other planets don't have the same fucking atmosphere. You can't live there. They don't have water. They don't have fire. They don't have this. There's no electricity. Or there's too much electricity. Or there's this. And there's volcanics. And there's this. No. He created all that to figure out what was best. And then he created this planet. And he created these beings for this planet. Okay? You're a soul that came to planet Earth to be a human being. And you're not doing so well. Now, when you go back to where you go back to, you can't say that it's something like this. Saying you're going back to the Garden of Eden was only created here. So to go back to the Garden of Eden is to live in Eden here. Eden doesn't live somewhere else. Heaven doesn't live somewhere else. Hell isn't somewhere else. Those are universes. I always ask people that all the fucking time. Where is heaven? And do you know what they always do to me? Every single fucking person, they look up in the sky on a broad daylight. Okay, but if the lights were out and I asked you that question and you did the same thing, how stupid are you going to feel? It's up there in the dark, huh? Where? What's it look like? I asked Mr. Plum that. He said, I don't know. Bunch of clouds. I hear music. Okay, where are the clouds coming from? You see people in their form. They have to stay in that bodily form after they leave the body. They don't go back to an angelical form. And that angelical form has to look like a human with wings. We got a lot to talk about here. This hurts my head. Well, at least it started the conversation. I don't think we can go too much further in this right this moment. I'm very triggered. You must understand that. And that's why it's so appalling to you. I'm seeing Apollo. They didn't have human form. They had to be molded in a vision for humans to see in a human form. Right? So, how can I explain that? The Spirit of Christ, you seem to miss it because you're looking for the face of Christ. And first off, he doesn't look like that. If you recognize that he's a spirit, then you can see that he lives within all things. Now, is this the spirit of a man, or is this the spirit of God that we called Christ? Going back to Buddha. Is this a man that had godly powers, or is this God and a man-formed Buddha that we named Buddha? Now let's start with the whole big-ass basics. Supposedly, there was no form of God in a woman form. God didn't take a woman's form, apparently. He came in many male forms, but not woman. That's bullshit. And that's why this is the divine feminine awakening. So you can recognize God in his female form. And that's where all this power comes from. Is God in the female form. Is using your feelings. And that's why they subjugated it. Because Lilith had God's power and used God's power. Adam was nothing. And neither was Eve. With all that wisdom and knowledge, they didn't do them any good. But going back to it, it's like you're not going back to, a kingdom in the sky. The danger of mystical search is conveyed by a famous reporter in the Talmud of 4 rabbis who ventured into the Pardes, the divine orchard or paradise. Let's listen to what they say. The 4 entered Pardes: Ben Azai, Ben Zoma, Arthur. I'm not remembering all your bitch ass names. Sorry. Azai glimpsed and died. Zoma glimpsed and went mad. Oh, this is a real story. Ahir cut the plants. Rabbi Avaka emerged in peace. Ahir, to the other one, is the nickname of Elijah. Ben Avuya, the most famous heretic in rabbinic literature. The exact nature of his heresy is unclear. The metaphor of cutting the plant refers to his covenant to Gnostic dualism. In any case, the rabbi we are told, emerged unscathed. Certain Jewish mystics went so far as to formulate detailed descriptions of the body of God. These texts became known as the Shiru Kuoma, the measurements of the divine stature. Such extreme anthropomorphosis, generated criticism, such as that of Moses Maimonides, but it is also influenced by bold mythical language in the Kabbalah. All right, the secret to creation. I told you, it just keeps going on and on. The account of Ezekiel's chariot formed one major branch of early Jewish mysticism. The other branch was Bereshit, I don't know, the account of creation or cosmology. The most important text concerning these secrets was Sefer Yetzirah, the Book of Creation, composed apparently in Palestine sometime between the 3rd and 6th century. Here we are told how God created the world by means of 22 letters of the Hebrew alphabet and the 10 Sephirot. The term that appears to be a term that appears for the first time in Hebrew literature. Genesis and Psalms had already indicated the divine speech was the tool of creation. God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. So by the word of God, the heavens were made. By the breath of his mouth, all their host. Genesis 1:1. Psalms 33:6. What is new in Sefer Yetzirah is the detailed speculation of how God combined the individual letters as well as the idea of the Sephirot, which in this text are numerological entities, living beings, embodied the number which that explains those cards. Okay, sorry, I'm getting a download. Embodied the numbers 1 through 10. Ciphers metaphysical potencies through which creation unfolds. The notion that numbers are essential to the structure of the cosmos derives from Pythagorean mysticism. Gradually, however, the Sephirot evolved into something more, becoming the central symbol system of the Kabbalah. What is the Sephirot? Those are those little circles with images in the middle of them. That's what they call them, the 10 Sephirots. Count them, there's 10 of them. Alright, now we're going back to their book, the Zohar. Based on the earliest traditions, Kabbalah emerged on its own right in the fertile region of the Providence towards the end of the 12th century. They keep spelling 12th with an F. Twelfth. Seriously? Yeah, it's the second time I've seen it. Here our variegated Jewish communities flourished, a center of learning that encompassed rabbinic law, philosophy, and mysticism. Alright, Seph-Habir, usually considered the first Kabbalistic text, was edited here. Iconically, although Bahir means bright and clear, this small book is unimaginably obscure, an often impenetrable collection of erotic fragments. In it, the Sephiroth now appear as light, power, and attributes, similar to the divine potency described in Gnostic literature. They represent stages of God's inner life, aspects of divine personality. There is no unified scheme. The Sephiroth are described as various and conflicting ways. Over the next 100 years, the Kabbalah spread over the Pyrenees into Catalonia, and then into Castile, I don't know. The symbolic system crystallized. Elements of Neoplatonic mysticism were incorporated, as well as speculations on the origin of evil. What the fuck, right? I mean, obviously they just took a bunch of other teachings and put it all together, and people said they were wrong, but they found something. They took a bunch of truth and made it one ultimate truth in their own understanding. But it didn't stop there. They were missing pieces. They should have kept going. All of them had a piece to the puzzle, bro, but they didn't realize that the puzzle was nothing more than layers to the onion. Which is what? It's the same shit on a different piece of paper. It's like a cartoon. The Book of Life. It's a cartoon, and that's why I have all of this shit. You have to take all the pages of all of the pieces that were given out throughout of time. Each religion was based on a piece, right? And you take all these pieces and you layer all these pieces together to make one book. Not all the pages, all the pieces. Because if you put all the books together, it would be a never-ending, it'd be a Google search forever. We don't do that. Because if you notice, in every one of the books, it's a repetitive fucking message. Leave that, that's no longer serving you. Self-sacrifice, awareness, treat your brothers good, and all this good shit. Right? It's all there in every one. And that's it too, as I'm going to get to the Book of the Mormons too, as much as they fucking irritated me. People don't believe lies intentionally. And it's not based on lies. The lies, the little white lies, are led into the big fat truth. It's all based on the truth. Truth recognizes truth, right? So they're not selling you something false. All of this, and that's where it says right here, how did this all come to be? I mean, he took all kinds of shit. Did you hear it? I mean, it's from all over the place. And then crystallized it. Elements of Neoplatonic mysticism were incorporated, as well as speculations on, you know what I mean? And back in that time, that's what, you know, Plato, and that's what Socrates, and that's what Dante were, you know, they traveled the lands and they learned the times. And that's exactly how, you know, St. Patrick was so effective. Because it wasn't a conquer and destroy, it was more of an it was an integration, not, you know what I mean? An overpopulation. It was an integration of belief systems. Until we just started telling them that what they believed was lies. And then we became, you know what I mean, separated in our beliefs. Everybody believes and has a right to religion in America. Right? You have a right to your religion. Meaning, we honor, we're supposed to. We have the law that's supposed to honor the fact that you can pray to any God, as you know what I mean, in our country. That's what that means, a right to your religion. You can pray to any God in our country, is what that means. Now, forcing that religion on anyone, that's not okay. You have the right to pray here to your God. You cannot go to other countries and pray to other gods, but here you may do so. That's what that means, okay? In the essence, we're going to allow you to be seen as a human, even though you pray to, in essence, a pagan god, depending on what it is. Who decides that? That's up to whoever's pointing fingers. Because everybody says that they know the true God, and their religion is the true religion, and the other religions are pagan, and they're all going to be deemed in hell. I mean, not really. I haven't seen any of that other than in Christianity, to be honest. I haven't really seen that. But it's got to be somewhere in those Middle Eastern countries, too, as they came after us. Were they coming after our religion or us as people? I'm not quite sure. And does that stand in the way of their way to kingdom? You know, was that honoring to their gods? I mean, human sacrifice was always an honoring way to gods in the back times. And these are old-ass fucking religions. I'm not really sure what they're fucking, you know, what it is. But what it is everybody wants to believe in God. Or they use, you know, spirituality. And science is a god to people. Why? Because it doesn't fail them. God doesn't fail you. That's why they believe in their God. Because their belief in their God has not failed them. People fail them, but their God doesn't. So can we honor the fact that their God is real? And if we prayed to him and believed with him, we could, if they would so allow, we could inherit the gifts of their God too. That's where it is, though. They say that we're not allowed to. This is where this one starts. You know what I mean? They're all part of an elite religion that you have to be converted or, you know what I mean, bled in, I guess, in the sense of. It's like you can't pray to our God. You're not of our heaven. And then you go back to Buddhism and Wiccan, you know what I mean, what we believe, and we're, you know, and then the true foundation of the Church of Christ, you know, which I'm not quite sure anymore if it has anything to do with Christians. The Christians don't believe Christ's words. They walk in the words of the church. They're two different messages. I swear to God they are. I swear to God they are. In the essence, are we walking in, am I walking in the, you know, in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene? Because she carried on the teachings of Christ, and apparently the Christian church is not. They're still carrying on the traditional rules of, you know, all of that. And that goes back to the Catholics too. They don't walk in you know, Christ's teachings. But going back to it is, we're all understanding that we are all part of the oneness, which is God, and we can be one with God at all times, and that, you know what I mean, we're not persecuted and, for our sins in that sense. All of the rest of the religions are like, if you don't act their way, then you're a damnation to your people, to your religion, to your country, to God, if you don't follow such rules. And it could be something as easy as, having sex, not being married and having sex, to being homosexual, to eating meat, to showing your hair, to, all kinds of things. You can find yourself right in one religion, but the rest of the religions say you're going to hell. That's one hell of a dice to roll. In the essence, are we pleasing man or are we pleasing God? If I change religion, am I changing God? Or am I just changing the practice that I practice a God? Is it a different God that I'm praying to? Or a different messenger that takes me to meet God? So as we're about to open this, obviously they tell you that they found all these gateways through all of these other ancient teachings to meet God. And they're going to tell you about their journey to meeting God. Okay, well, this isn't the Torah, so I don't really know where I'm at here. Because I got the Quran, which is a book to meet God. We've got the Bhagavad Gita, which is a book to meet God. We've got the Bible, which is a book to meet God. I've got over 40 fucking oracle cards, which are books to meet God. Why is there so many books about how to meet God? And my newest book, let me show you my newest book, from a psychoanalyst, How to Meet God, Man and His Symbols. What is this about? This is about your visions and how to put them into a language. They were using fucking letters and numbers. Hebrew, of course, a language that nobody speaks. Right up there with fucking Latin. Yeah, I'm right up there. How's your Sanskrit? Yeah. Shh. Let me work on my Ethiopian. I'm right there. What the fuck? Come on. And my hieroglyphics and shit. That's why I talk to the birds and the bees, because I don't know all these tongues. Come on, God. What kind of shit were you doing? He was trying to service all of mankind. Great. That's awesome. Going back to Greeks. Were they praying to fake gods, bro? Or were their gods really delivering? Were the Egyptians praying to fake gods? Or there was a stronger god? Or there was another god out there? You know what I mean? Was Buddha a fake god? Was he teaching you fake religion? Do the witches practice fake shit? Am I a fake witch? Are Christians fake, in their understanding of God? Mormons. There's all kinds of you motherfuckers. Catholics. I can't even get into this right now. There's too many. There's over 148 religions that I kind of know of, and there probably is way more than that, because we're not even talking about tribal studies. They all pray to God through an elder, through an animal, some book that was written by some person, and they tell you how to get to God. Can we just all admit that? And that each book is a flavor to their liking? It speaks their language? Naturally, a whole country that doesn't eat meat is not going to tell you that, is going to tell you that you're going to hell if you eat meat. Naturally. Okay? My head hurts. It's like, I'm trying to put this into words. It's like, give me something. I'm like squishing my head like Jimmy Neutron, like think, like, God can be seen in everyone that exhibits the godliness of kindness, patience, humility, you know what I mean? Forgiveness, understanding, compassion, a givingness, you know what I mean? These lighter sides of humanity, or these lighter versions, or these high vibrational things. That's the easiest way to see God. But God is also seen in the day-to-day struggle in any kind of human being, because man and woman were made in God's image. Right? As much as, you know, you have a portion of God in you, so do all the other beings that he made before you. And you deny their existence because you believe yourself to be, you know, the most intelligent, which you are very not, of beings. And you persecute that intelligence upon other, you know what I mean, sexes, cultures, religions, creeds, whatever, countries and everything. You're like, we're the superior being. You know what I mean? I'm better than you because I drive this car. I'm better than you because I'm white. I'm better than you because of this. And I have this, and I have this, and this, and this. It's all spread out into the division of who's the more superior, you know what I mean, human or species of human. You're all stupid humans, all of you, seeking the things of this world. But those that are seeking God, I want to show you, they're just trying to be right by God, following God's rules. And there's a million books out here that were created for wherever they grew, wherever they were born. There was a book of rules of how to honor God where they grew up. And they learned that way. This is how we all know that these are God's people. Who are God's people? Everyone. They just didn't learn out of the same book as you. And even the tribes, like I said, that don't even write down they don't have rules like that. They don't write down, you know what I mean? They have traditions of how they honor God. By what? The land and the animals. They see God in the land and the animals like me, like others, you know what I mean? We don't see it so much in people. We see this thing you call evil in people. But in essence, if you go back to Old Testament God, the fury of God, the vengeance of God, the wrath of God, they're out there showing they're showing a piece of God. Not his brightest piece, I'll tell you that. That's where I am. I'm like, I mean, I am his first female form on this planet. So, of course, I do not fit your archetypical, I am not Eve. Eve was created in the image of Adam. I was created in the image of God, his female form. And I did not submit like them. Even though being put in the human form, I still kept my angelic, you know what I mean, essence. I didn't conform to the idea of being part of this planet. I brought divinity to the planet, not put my, that was it. I'm not going to strip my divinity to be of the planet. I'll bring divinity to the planet. And then I was like, oh, this isn't what you were planning? Well, then I'm out. They can play house. I'm not doing this. And that's it. And if you always go back, it's like the goddess always brought that magic. As soon as we get into this, I'm going to tell you it's going to be off of the female form. It's all going to be about the female form. Definitely. Men never had magic. They didn't teach magic. And if they did, it was a 40-year-old man who was a rabbi that was married and learned it about, you know, in a Jewish book. Or from Aleister Crowley. Something weird like that. Again, from another man. Now, if you go back to the tribes, even the natives and shit, their religious highest officer is a female. The Seer and the High Priestess, that's what they're called. They're females. They're elders. It's a female that just like Isis. It's a female that interacted with God. And then it was, you know, she delivered it to the men, and the men, you know what I mean? Kind of like, you know, the Pharaoh and his high priests. But there was a priestess, because she had the, you know, and that goes back to, when I was Pytha. It was always the female that interacted with God. It was harder for man because they had to work through the mind. The female was always intact with her emotions, so she could always hear God. She could always feel God. She always knew God. Which is what? Trust, faith, love, nurturing, all those things I told you. Female naturally has that in her, plus she has God's life-giving force. We have the ability to give life, meaning reproduce God, give more God. We can give more God in everything that we do. What do you guys give? You're giving me a headache is what you're doing. I mean, seriously. It's not about, truly, it's not fully about the sexes, but it's restoring it as the equality into the understanding that, not that she is here to rule, but this is my queen. Stop treating these bitches like princesses. She needs to fit the role of the queen if she's ever going to be an empress and lead, you know what I mean, to actually lead anything. But then there's me, the high priestess, you know what I mean? A high priestess, in the essence, I would refer this information to the emperor and the empress, and they would decide what to do with the countrymen and all of that. And it would, you know, go down to the kings and the queens of the township. If we were looking at the tarot in the sense of what it's supposed to be, the community. The high priestess takes the information, the magician puts it into play. What's the difference between the high priestess and the magician? The divine feminine and the divine masculine. Without action, which is the divine masculine inside of you, then you're just receptive, you're just taking in a bunch of great ideas. But if you're not applying them, you're not creating anything new of this world. You know what I mean? And that's it. Now, if you're only working through your divine masculine, and you're not using any of your feelings, then you're not divine at all. You're just a masculine. You're just a brute man, working through the man, you know, a man's world and a man's mind. Without your heart driving you, and that, what's your heart? It's not driving you towards success, it's driving you towards growth and happiness. It's the man's mind that wants power, control, and success. That's just masculinity at its best. Every woman and man has that. The divinity comes in how you channel it, where it's coming from. Is it coming from your heart or is it coming from your mind? That's divinity. Divinity comes from the heart. You can't walk around and say you're divine masculine or a divine feminine if you're not working through your heart space. Because there's nothing divine about the flesh, which is the typical brain, the conscious, the ego, your regular identity. I say that a lot to the tarot community. They like to say that divine masculine, divine feminine. No, as they were saying this, and they're saying that my divine masculine, meaning an outside source or a person outside of me, is going through all of this towers, reflection, and healing, introspection. I realize that that's the inside man inside of me. That's my internal masculine energy is going through all of this. And my internal divine feminine. Why is it divine? Because it's feelings, not actions. If I'm going to work and I'm maintaining my whole life as I act in this world, I'm working in my masculine. The only thing that makes it divine is if I'm working with my heart. Period. Every woman that gets up and goes to work, she's working through her masculine energy. Every man that gets up and starts his day and does something with his day, you're in your masculine energy. You're in the man's flesh. This is, you know what I mean? Man's. That's what they call it. They never called it woman's. It's mankind. You're a mankind now as you're acting. Right? The divinity comes in your feelings. So, in my feelings, I'm a divine feminine, meaning I could be nurturing and loving, but otherwise I'm a dark masculine, meaning I'm just out destroying, or I'm a dark feminine. The divinity comes with the heart. If you're not working with your heart, then you're working with the darkness of your mind, and you're just distorted, to be honest. It's an energy force inside of you, and that's what they're going to say is the unity of bringing it back to male and female. It's balancing the male and female inside of you, but letting the female rule. And that's what they don't want to fully say. You have to be ruled by your heart, which is your feminine. The fall of man at the end of time. The divine awakening is the feminine. Your hearts are waking up and your mind is going mad because it's losing control. Your heart, it's a hostile takeover of the soul versus the mind, which is good versus evil as they described in these books. It's a hostile takeover, and that's the awakening. And that's really, truthfully, you denied your heart all this time. If you don't know what I'm talking about, let's just say this. Until this day, and for many days more until you start walking in it, You have denied your feelings. Your true feelings you have denied every day, including today, and for many more days to come until you start working through this. Without your true feelings being exposed and being put out there, and you walking in them and wearing them and showing people who you truly are, you are a mask of yourself, and you're not divine. You're a dress-up of someone else. You're hiding yourself. And without being yourself, you can't be powerful. Now, that self that you're hiding is behind a shadow. Meaning it's actually your brightest self, but you're hiding it behind a memory of somebody, of some feeling. And that's why we go to our shadows to retrieve our light. Because behind that was the bright young girl that would have took her shirt off and waved it around like a helicopter. Behind that memory is the girl that's brave enough to fucking, walk up to a guy and give him a kiss. Behind that is a girl brave enough to, to stand up to a school bully and shit. Behind that is the person that doesn't muzzle. That would be your Lilith. And that's why I'm here. You're nothing more than flesh, because you're not working with your feelings, which is your heart. Your heart wants to be free. It wants, but you're not allowing it to. What would people think? You see something cool that you want to wear, but you won't wear it because it's not for you. Oh, I would wear that if I was smaller. Or you should get this. It would look good on you. Meaning you like it so much, but you can't wear it because of whoever you are. You're telling people how to live their life if you were them, how you would live it, because you aren't free enough to be you. When you start working with your heart, you become very powerful. But when you're just working through your mind and trying, just trying to get by, maybe trying not to be seen, or really trying hard to be seen, you're not working with anything. You're just working real hard at a broken system. You're competing with 8.2 billion people for followers and likes and views. But the human consciousness has got the attention span of less than a second. Even if they liked it, they're already on to the next one and forgot what they just liked. That's where you have to like you. And you have to let you be free in this whole thing. That's what's happening right now. Is your heart is waking up, and it's not going to lie to... It's not going to accept the lies from others, and it's not going to lie to anybody else. Meaning you're going to have a hard time fighting this. Trying to pretend that you're... Trying to fight this change that's happening inside of you. Where you're literally wanting change and wanting to stand up for yourself and, be different, but afraid of the different. This is all going to talk about how they took this journey to meet God and all of the angels and stuff. Carl Jung's books are going to talk about it, how he did it psychologically. Dante is going to tell you about it too. There's lots of these books of how, that's what the whole damn Bible is about. You know what I mean? How they took these journeys to find out about God and, Moses. And they're all just stories about it. I'd like you to write your own, like I am. I'd like you to start your journey towards God. And that's what's really magnificent about my story, is because it's an unbelievable mystical story of my trip back to God. And how I came back to take everyone from all different religions and creeds and fucking sexes and, all of this shit. Countries, races, all that shit, bro. Genders. Imagine, they found their way to God, but they only shared it with a couple people. Jesus set out in the streets and he told anybody that would listen how to get to God. But all these religions, bro, it's if you're not, this is what they said. They said you had to be 40, you had to be married, you had to be this, you had to be that. Never a woman, I'm sure. This goes on and on. I'm going to stop there. I feel like I've gone too far. I'm going to stop on the Zohar because I don't know what it is, other than a weird movie they made. It's another religious book. I don't have it either. I could spend this whole lifetime reading you all these books, but all we're going to do is get what we need out of them and get out of them, dude. I'm not an encyclopedia. I don't plan to read every book page for page. I don't plan to. I don't think that's what we need to do. I think we need to understand that they're all the same fucking, you know what I mean? It's the same fucking message over and over, but some of them have, you know, tweaked it a little bit. I'm just like, I'm looking at it, and it's like, did the Kabbalists, with all the magic that they learned, are they more powerful than the Buddhists or the Hindus that learned how to full enlightenment? Just because they don't use the herbs and the elements to fuck with energy doesn't mean they're not in the Garden of Eden or wherever they consider theirs. A nirvana is what they say, where they walk in full enlightenment. What's the difference in the Wiccans or even, you know what I mean, the traditional tribes that are fully in peace? All of this is about seeking peace. I'm just curious, you know what I mean? Like, going back to the witches, they had peace. That's all that it is about. It was a connection with, you know what I mean, deity. And that's what this is, you know, I show you I can connect with all of the deities. And I believe that if you allowed yourself, you can too as you go through the ascensions. And that's what this Sephiroth is going to tell you. That's what I explained in my last video. Not Intro to Tarot, but the one I did before that, I don't know what the fuck it was. I showed you that as you enter these gates, these heavenly gates, you meet the angelic realms or the beings, depending. But you meet not only the light but the dark side of both of them, as described in there, the polarization. And that's kind of what I was explaining is like the mediumship too as you enter. The first place is here's earth and here's angels. Right in between here is where all the spirits are, bro. And then you're with angels. And then archangels. Now, what this means, you see all those symbols? Those are actually Hebrew letters in between those pathways. Meaning you could take any pathway up to God, and it was kind of a roll of the dice. Where were you going to land? And that's how I roll the cards. Where are we in the tree of life? There's a million ways to get back to God, but once you get back up there, the Melchizedek way will teach you, you have to just bring all that back down here. That's what we do all day, is we go back to the... It's obnoxious. We go back to God, which is cosmic conscious. We collect information. We bring our experience to Him. What we've experienced and what we've learned, our lessons. And we go up there and, as you would say, collect our blessings, which is, it's an exchange of information. You know what I mean? What'd you learn yesterday? I learned that I don't need to panic about everything that goes wrong. And, you know, I finally got over my car a little bit. Wonderful. Come here, tell me all about it. So that's this morning. I bring back this experience that I had yesterday. I just breathe it out in the cosmic conscious. And then from there, I get a download or a blessing of what to do next. What's my next mission, right? So then I come down here and I have my experience and I take my experience back up there. And the reason that this all goes like that is to make the human experience better for the next generation. In the beginning, you know what I mean? He was a different type of God. God is always, He's always evolving just like humans are. And that's why there's so many versions of the ways to God and how He showed Himself in all of these different versions. Again, I don't know if Buddha is God, if Vishnu is God, or if Krishna is God to them. I don't know if Christians believe that Jesus is God, or if He is the Son of God. I'm not sure how people see this. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if they fully understand the patriarchy, that they're just ascending messengers, ascending masters and messengers of God. And as the messenger, that's how they became an ascending master, as walking as the messenger against the persecution. You know what I mean? Going back to Muhammad Ali, Martin Luther King, Kobe Bryant, Tupac Shakur. They have secured, and it's not by good works. You can't buy yourself a place in heaven, but that was their contract, you know what I mean? To spread the good word and change the mentality, change, the conscious, to make people woke, like Nipsey. You know what I mean? Make them woke, wake them up. That's what we're always trying to do, is wake up humanity. So in essence, we go back, we tell God about our experience and stuff, and he's like, all right, so he uses that information to make better experiences. So, I had a shit day. I go back, I tell God about it. All right, so he knows how to, be a better God, and then he gives me information of how to be a better person. And it's an exchange of, this co-creation is what they call that. Am I God? I'm God in the human form. Is he apart from me? No. But am I him? In a sense or two, because I have all of his power and we are one. But he is, you know what I mean? It's a oneness, but it's a micro to the macro. And that's what I mean, is like there's not a patriarchy to where Jesus stands in front of me. Well, then where does Buddha stand? And where's Melchizedek? And what about that? And how could that possibly be? How could that possibly be when I was goddess first, as Isis, and as all of the other ones? Like, how is that possible when I came first? No. If we're playing those stupid games, nobody stands in line. There's no lines. And nobody's standing. We're not even. It's a oneness. We're all back collectively in the cosmic conscious. It's a wholeness in no form. And that's why I was like, even if we're in a, you know what I mean? Where is Jesus right now? He's in no form, but in all form, right? In the essence, he will take form, and that's said in the book that we will see him in his form, and all will see. It will be seen to all eyes that he is here in this form, in the form, in the human. I don't know. It doesn't really describe him in the human forms in the end times. But in the essence, it's like, even if, you know what I mean, I was somewhere else on another planet, I'm still part of your consciousness, and that's where that illusion of separation is. When you realize that you're spirit and you're connected with all spirit, I can connect with all of my boys' spirit at all times. Our bodies, no, their big fat thick head is in our way. Maybe some miles and some time too. That's all part of the human experience, is time and distance, time and space. Doesn't exist outside of this fucking reality, but whatever. But in the essence, we're not apart. I don't know how to describe it. It's like we're our own little islands, but still drifting in the same water. Meaning we're still staring at the same sky. We're still drinking like we're still connected. No matter how far away we are, we're still connected, because they're showing me this cute little thing. It's like they're showing me the planet with nothing on it but two little islands, right? They're showing me, that's too close. Two little islands, right? Oh, I'm fucking it up. Right? There's two little islands on this big blue planet. And no matter how far they drift the other way around, they're still connected, because they're the only two on this little island. Now, no matter how far we are, wherever the fuck Kanye is, and wherever Lewis is in Italy, Kanye's over there, everybody's spread out, right? We're spread out by time and distance, but in our hearts, we're completely connected. If you connect through the heart. Through the mind, no. The mind tells you that there's all these things between you. How much is between these two little eggs? What's between these two? Distance. But how much? Is that real? Is it real? Are they really apart, or there's just a little bit of distance between them? Something like that. And that doesn't have too much to do with Jewish mysticism, I don't think, or maybe it does. But it needs to be understood that that's where they're getting their information, is they took all kinds of information. And that even goes back, this is, philosophy, you know, going back to Carl Jung, he found his way back to God through the madness of his mind. He didn't really say that, and he was studying science. Then you go back to the Palladian book. This lady found not only Christ, but she found a cosmic, you know what I mean, Palladian light force of beings through nothing more than studying the conscious of dolphins. Trying to understand a higher conscious got her connected to the highest conscious of, you know what I mean, of beings outside of our atmosphere. And there she met Christ. Like, oh, have you met Christ? He's from your planet. It's that moment at the end games. He's like, who is your master? You mean like who? You mean like Jesus? He's like, you're human. Of course I'm human. It's like, well, what are you doing out here? Do you know Jesus? He's human. Oh my God. They said you were in heaven on some chair somewhere. Yeah, they talk a lot of shit down there. In the essence, he never said that. Where's this chair? Let's just start with something simplistic, bro. Where is heaven and hell? Where did you come from? And where are you going? Are you just a light bulb that burns out after you're done here? Then how come I know all of my light bulb? You know what I mean? Why are you listening to me? How could I literally know all? I'm not the only first reincarnated being, bro. I'm the only one that's fully awoken that knows where the fuck I came from. That's all that means. And I don't think I'm the only one because, again, we talked about that last night. They deem you crazy for such things. Yeah, sure. Okay. This is why I didn't teach you guys. I haven't taught anybody stuff like this. It's light years ahead of you. Yeah, they're just books of a religion. But to understand any of these religions, you have to get out of your mind. They're not just stories, bro. You can't understand them, you can't visualize them, and you can't apply them. Because they're not just supposed to be stories, they're supposed to be practices applied to your life. Religious practices, rituals, ceremonies, rites. You know what I mean? Of spiritual evolution while you're here on Earth. Uh-oh, it's getting ugly. They're about to spiritually evolve. Anyways, so with that being said, I as much as I want to teach you everything, we can't even start when you're thinking that, you know what I mean, God is in a body and everybody looks like you and only you are going to this place in the sky, and if you don't act right, you're never going to make it there. What does that look like? Where the fuck is hell? What is worse than this? I mean, there's existences, there's realms that are worse than this, but they're not called hell. I mean, that's just what it is. It's like you project it, like you're living in hell. I think you're living in hell. I think Russ and fucking Lewis and Kanye and fucking Marshall are living in absolute rich hells. Rich. Meaning, at least they're eating good in hell. They got good Wi-Fi, I guess, or something. But in essence, I think they're in fucking hell. But they look at me in a homeless shelter with nothing and they think I'm in fucking hell. I don't care. It's a projection. Who's got peace and who doesn't? Ding, 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 ding. In essence, peace out, right? So, hey, whatever. This blew me away. I wasn't ready for this. This literally pushed my limits. And I'm sure it pushed yours too. You're fucking with me right now. This is a little bit like, I could teach you everything if you could understand it. If you could keep up. But I know damn well nobody can. As soon as I got right there, I was like, no, forget it. We're going to understand how everybody studies God. That's what we're going to understand. Why? Because we owe it to them and their ancestors to understand how God spoke to them and how they walked with God in their lives. How God got them here. We owe it to them. Every creed and every nation, we owe it to them to understand how their ancestors got us here. so that we can get their tribes out of here. Using, respectfully of their ancestral ways. I'm not here to eliminate anybody's fucking religion, bro. We're just going to try to find a way to respectfully honor all of them at once. I don't want you to give up your religion. I just want you to accept more. I don't want you to give up your God, bro. Pray hard and teach us how to. And I don't need you don't have to pray to our God, but I'd like you to accept our God too. And that's it. It's not even ours. You could say it's your religion or your country or your this. It's not. Tell me how our God came to your people. It's our God. Your God is our God, and I just don't know him in your form. And I can show you. Show me and I'll show you. And almost every religion outside of fucking Christianity doesn't have no devil. They don't have no nothing out to come and destroy you. You're doing that all on your own. Hey, I'm burnt out. I need an ice cream or something. A cookie or something. I need some sweets. Hey, I love yous. Laters. Have a good night. We'll see if we meet up again. Laters. Hey.